visiting Florida in the summer of 2018, a Chicago tourist was stabbed by a homeless man with no arms. The suspect, 46-year-old Jonathan Dale Crenshaw, was known as a street artist in Miami Beach for creating paintings, often consisting of colorful mosaics, with his feet. Shortly after midnight on July the 10th, 22-year-old Coronado and a friend stopped to ask Crenshaw for directions. The homeless man, who was born without arms, stood up, used his toes to grasp a pair of scissors and stabbed Coronado in the left arm twice before fleeing. Coronado was transported to a local hospital and treated for his injuries, and Crenshaw was subsequently arrested. He told police he was lying down when Coronado approached and struck him in the head, prompting the response, which he claimed was self-defense. Crenshaw was charged with aggravated battery, a second-degree felony, and held in the county jail pending court proceedings. His violent outbursts were known to Miami Beach police, and he'd been arrested on multiple occasions in the past. His most recent conviction was in 2014, when he was sentenced to 180 days in jail for felony battery on a police officer. Number 16. Jermel Jones. A family of 4 visiting Tallahassee, Florida went to a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant in the summer of 2025. Courtney Guggenheimer's young daughters were preparing to take photos with the iconic mouse mascot, a costume worn at the time by arcade employee Jermel Jones. In the moments that followed, the police descended on the scene and arrested Jones. He was accused of using a customer's credit card to make over $100 in fraudulent charges. He still had the card on him, along with a small quantity of marijuana, and had previously been accused of a similar offense roughly half a year prior. Guggenheimer captured photos of Jones as he was led away in handcuffs while in full costume. The authorities didn't comment on whether Jones had been deliberately using the Chuck E. Cheese getup as a means of avoiding detection. Guggenheimer's photos went viral. She told the media that she was glad the man was caught, but that she wished the arrest hadn't played out in front of her children. The woman noted that they subsequently had a myriad of questions regarding the incident, including one to the effect of, "Does this mean Chucky's gone forever?" Number 15. Johnny Yates and Christopher Musick. In the fall of 2023, Florida man Johnny Yates was wanted by the Polk County Sheriff's Office on aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and tampering charges. When deputies went to his Lakeland home, they came upon a dry erase board that had been placed outside and read, "Johnny Yates does not live here." To no one's surprise, the sign didn't deter law enforcement from investigating, and a person leaving the home confirmed that Yates was in fact inside. The property was surrounded, but the wanted man refused to come out even after 2 rounds of surrender smoke were deployed into the residence. A canine unit named Dexter eventually found Yates hiding in a modified chest of drawers, and he was arrested. His case resembled that of fellow Floridian Christopher Musick. The 57-year-old, a career criminal with 10 priors and 2 outstanding warrants in Maryland, was wanted by the Volusia County Sheriff's Office in connection to a large-scale mortgage fraud scheme. Musick had reportedly been posing as a fake real estate investor in Volusia County, where he took out mortgages against properties and used the money to buy more, which he rented out. When law enforcement went to his home, they saw that his doormat read, "Come back with a warrant," and a deputy snapped a photo of it. Musick was arrested for organized scheme to defraud, grand theft over $100,000, and forgery. Announcing his apprehension, the sheriff's office referenced the doormat and wrote, "We came back with a warrant." Number 14. Ruan Rocha da Silva. The story of Brazilian man Ruan Rocha da Silva went viral in 2017 and began with him trying to steal a bike in São Bernardo do Campo, Sao Paulo. Silva, who was in his late teens at the time, was caught by tattoo artist Mason Wesley Carvalho and his neighbor, bricklayer Renildo Moreira de Araújo. The 2 men recorded themselves as they punished Silva by tattooing "I'm a thief" and "a loser" on his forehead. Carvalho was seen in the video telling the obviously terrified teen, "It is going to hurt. It is going to hurt." The artist and Araújo were each charged with torture and jail for over 3 years. About a year later, Silva again made headlines when he was caught trying to steal 5 deodorant cans from a supermarket in Sao Paulo. Leading up to the shoplifting incident, he'd undergone laser removal procedures, and his tattoo, while still visible, had somewhat faded. Silva, who reportedly struggled with an alcohol and crack cocaine addiction, continued the pattern of thefts and robberies in the years that followed. On Christmas Day 2024, he was among 7 inmates who escaped Sao Paulo's Provisional Detention Center, Belém 1, Just 2 days later, he surrendered to military police, and a photo of the arrest showed him wearing a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt, but the forehead tattoo had disappeared. It wasn't clear why Silva had decided to break out, since he was just days away from release after completing a 4-year sentence. Number 13. Taton Michael Blade Dorfman. On the night of July the 28th of 2024, Taton Michael Blade Dorfman was at a home on the 5400 block of West Mosquito Drive in Marana, Arizona, with his 30-year-old girlfriend, Hannah Marie Rogers. At some point during the evening, Dorfman shot Rogers in the head, killing her instantly, and then fatally shot her dog. Immediately afterward, Dorfman FaceTimed his ex-girlfriend and showed himself lying next to Rogers' body with visible blood around her head. During the call, he allegedly exclaimed, "I killed her. I did it." The ex-girlfriend took screenshots and contacted the police. Marana law enforcement rushed to the address. Officers attempted contact, but Dorfman barricaded himself inside the residence for several hours, leading to a standoff with a Pima County SWAT team. During talks with negotiators, the 29-year-old admitted that he'd killed Rogers and threatened further armed action. He was eventually talked into surrendering and stumbled out of the home with blood on his face and hands, but no visible injuries. Inside the residence, police found Rogers' body, the deceased dog, drug paraphernalia, and a pistol on the floor at the foot of the bed. In September of 2025, a jury convicted Dorfman of second-degree murder for Rogers' death. On October the 20th, he was sentenced to 16 years in prison. Number 12. Sylvester Jiles. In March of 2010, Sylvester Jiles was jailed for 15 years for violating his probation by breaking back into Florida's Brevard County Detention Center. The year prior, Jiles had struck a deal and pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the 2007 shooting death of 19-year-old Dustin Prowse. The plea negotiations resulted in him being sentenced to 8 years of probation. On August the 31st of 2009, 3 days after his release, Jiles showed up at the jail and begged deputies to take him back because he feared for his life. After he was denied, he broke inside the jail perimeter and successfully scaled a fence. Upon trying to climb a second fence, the man became entangled in razor-sharp barbed wire, suffered deep cuts and fell to the ground. He suffered severe bleeding before he was discovered by the authorities. The court deemed that Jiles had violated his probation by trespassing on jail property and resisting an officer. Upon being handed the 15-year sentence, Jiles broke into a profanity-laced tirade and was led out of the courtroom. His lawyer argued he may have acted irrationally, but he wasn't out to hurt anyone. He was out there trying to preserve himself. Jiles was allowed to return to the courtroom, whereupon he apologized and accepted the sentence. Number 11. Smuggling in a Toupee. In June of 2019, Spanish National Police at Barcelona's El Prat airport stopped a middle-aged Colombian man arriving from Bogota after noticing he appeared unusually nervous and was wearing an oversized wig under a hat. Officers asked him to remove the earpiece, and underneath they found a sealed package containing 503 grams of cocaine with an estimated street value of about 30,000 euros. The man was arrested on suspicion of drug smuggling. Spain's national police said there is no limit to the inventiveness of drug traffickers trying to mock controls, and noted the contraband was hidden in the double bottom of his toupee. Amazingly, an eerily similar report surfaced a few years later, again involving cocaine and the Colombian national. In February of 2025, Colombian anti-narcotics police in Cartagena intercepted a 40-year-old man attempting to board a flight to Amsterdam with 19 small packets of cocaine concealed under his glued-on wig. A security scan prompted officers to remove the wig at a checkpoint, revealing about 220 grams of cocaine, valued at approximately 10,000 euros in European markets. The suspect, who had 2 prior drug trafficking convictions, was arrested on suspicion of narcotics trafficking, manufacturing, and possession. Number 10. Ignored robber. On July the 3rd of 2023, a man entered Nail First, a salon on Piedmont Road Northeast in Atlanta, Georgia, with his right hand concealed inside a bag as if holding a weapon. Surveillance video showed him shouting, "Everybody get down, give me all your money, give me all your money," while customers and staff remained Largely unfazed, he paced through the salon as patrons sat in chairs and ignored his demands. Only one woman in the waiting area stood up and raised her hands when he confronted her directly, but she backed out the door without handing over any cash or valuables. The robber at one point stood in the center of the room, seemingly confused as to what he should do next, considering that no one appeared to even acknowledge his presence. After approximately 30 seconds inside the business, during which no one complied with his demands, the man walked out of the salon. Atlanta police reported that one woman's phone was taken. The theft happened out of the surveillance camera's view, and the device was later recovered. Footage of the incident was made public in an effort to apprehend the robber, who hadn't even made the effort to cover his face during the failed heist. It wasn't clear if the man was arrested. Number 9. Martin Villalobos Jr. On the night of March the 24th of 2025, a child told his babysitter that there might be a monster under the bed at a home in Barton County, Kansas. In an attempt to prove that there was nothing to fear, the babysitter checked under the bed and was shocked to find a man hiding there. The suspect, later identified as 27-year-old Martin Villalobos Jr., had previously lived at the residence but was prohibited from entering it under a protection from abuse order. During the encounter with the babysitter, an altercation broke out and one of the children was knocked over in the struggle. Fortunately, no serious injuries were reported. Villalobos then fled before deputies arrived. After a failed effort to locate him overnight, law enforcement spotted Villalobos in the area the following morning. He attempted to flee on foot but was apprehended after a brief pursuit. He was booked into the Barton County Jail on requested charges including aggravated kidnapping, aggravated burglary, aggravated battery, child endangerment, felony obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and violation of a protection from abuse order. Villalobos was held on a $500,000 bond. Number 8. Sonia Exelby. On October the 10th of 2025, Englishwoman Sonia Exelby arrived at Gainesville Regional Airport in Florida. She had traveled to the US after connecting with 53-year-old Dwayne Hall of Ocala on a fetish website. Hall picked her up at the airport and drove her to an Airbnb rental in Reddick, Marion County. Surveillance footage showed he'd purchased rope, gun cleaner, and a shovel in the hours before meeting Exelby. On October the 17th, Exelby's remains were located in a shallow grave in a wooded area of Marion County. The woman had been knifed to death. About a month later, Hall was arrested for murder and kidnapping. Among other charges, he'd become a suspect after attempting to make transfers from Exelby's account. In the lead up to meeting Hall, Exelby had written on her computer that she was traveling to the United States to be abused, tortured, and possibly murdered. Investigators found a letter in which she anticipated being mutilated and disabled for the rest of her life. A video recovered from Hall showed Exelby with visible bruising consistent with assault. Hall asked her questions and she appeared to consent to the violence, saying that she'd come to Florida because I'm an awful person. I've crushed everyone who ever loves me. Messages from her Discord account, however, showed her expressing fear and regret about the situation, and that Hall was holding her against her will, telling her the only way out was for her to shoot him. After his arrest, Hall admitted that he and Exelby had had relations and discussed her wanting a violent death, but denied all the charges leveled against him. When asked if he'd killed Exelby, he only said, "She's happy now because she got what she wanted." He remained jailed without bond. Number 7. Nicholas Lee Ingram. On June the 3rd of 1983, Nicholas Lee Ingram robbed the home of J.C. and Mary Sawyer in Marietta, Georgia. He forced them into the woods and tied them to a tree with rope and wire. The couple begged for their lives as Ingram threatened and taunted them. The 19-year-old gagged them with his shirt after tearing it in two and shot them both in the head. 55-year-old military veteran J.C. died, but Mary survived and played dead until Ingram left the scene. Ingram was caught and sentenced to death by electric chair. He would maintain in the years that followed that he was blackout drunk and had no memory of what he'd done. In 1995, when asked what he'd like for his last meal, Ingram only requested a cigarette. What followed was recounted by his lawyer, Clive Stafford Smith. Ingram was denied his request by prison officials, with the argument being that smoking was bad for his health. Smith remarked upon the hypocrisy of feigning concern for his health on the eve of his execution. The lawyer said, "You've got to be kidding me. You're planning to kill this poor guy." Smith leaked the story to the media, and the Georgia Diagnostic and Classification State Prison was publicly shamed into granting Ingram a last cigarette. Number 6. Criminally bad writing. On the afternoon of December the 17th of 2024, a man walked into a bank in Loveland, Colorado. with a plan to rob it, but his effort failed miserably. The unnamed suspect handed a badly scribbled note to the teller. However, the worker was unable to decipher his handwriting. Seeing that things were not going according to plan, the suspect grew frustrated and fled. Loveland law enforcement released surveillance images of the man whose face was clearly visible. The case was reminiscent of that of British bank robber Alan Slattery. On March the 18th of 2021, the 67-year-old slipped a note to a teller at the Nationwide Building Society in East Sussex. It read, "Your screen won't stop what I've got, just hand over the 10s and 20s. Think about the customers." The unintelligible note resulted in Slattery walking away empty-handed. He went back at it with improved notes and targeted 2 more banks. In one case, he made over $3,000, and in another, the teller pushed back and scared him off. He was ultimately caught and handed a 4-year sentence. Number 5. Walter Frymire. Law enforcement in Polk County, Florida, responded to reports of a man being fully naked inside the restroom of a public park in Winter Haven in the fall of 2025. By the time that a deputy made contact with the suspect, 51-year-old Walter Frymire, he already had his clothes back on. The deputy told the man that he was giving him a break, but shortly thereafter, Frymire trespassed again by hopping onto train tracks and was taken into custody. During processing, a body scanner showed a strange object inside the man's body. Upon closer examination, law enforcement determined that Frymire had a full-sized thermos up his rectum. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judge later told the media, "That's right, he put it up the exit ramp. You know what I mean. The thermos was surgically extracted at a local hospital, likely saving Frymire from serious medical complications, and he was locked up in the county jail." Frymire had at least 25 prior arrests and had been to state prison 5 times since 1996 for crimes that included trespassing, battery, threatening, drug possession, lewdness, and many others. Some of the photos in his extensive mugshot collection showed him bearing fresh injuries to his face. In one such case, Frymire was refused admission to the county jail until a large laceration on his forehead was treated. Number 4. Incident in Antalya. In 2020, 2 men tried to rob the Ateş Poligonu shooting range in Antalya, Turkey. One of the men, clad in a hoodie and a cap, was caught on CCTV entering the property through a shattered window. He then made his way into a room with a mirrored wall. Footage, which subsequently went viral, showed the man suddenly getting spooked by his own reflection. He ran back out in a panic, and his companion joined him in fleeing the scene. Shooting range owner Alper Yüce said that the very nature of the business required him to have extraordinary security measures. He was immediately alerted of the break-in due to his security system, which immediately notified him, the alarm company, and the police. The owner was at the scene within 5 minutes, but by then the thieves were gone. Yüce told the media, "It's a tragicomic event. We were surprised they came to a place where security is so very high." Number 3. Peter Riera. An argument over how many eggs a chicken can lay devolved into a shooting in Port Lucie, Florida, in early November of 2025. While outside Harper's Pub, 44-year-old Peter Riera, known locally as Farmer Pete, got into a heated debate with 2 men and 1 woman, all in their 20s. Riera, who raised chickens, became agitated and paranoid at one point, accusing the others of trying to con him before producing a .45 caliber Glock. He fired 4 rounds at the group as they were fleeing, but none of them were hit. Body cam footage showed Riera, who was dressed in a pair of jean overalls and apparently missing his shoes, as he was arrested. The man maintained that during the chicken and egg laying argument, he felt the group were going to jump him. Riera was held on a $435,000 bond and faced multiple charges for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, on top of lesser offenses, including discharging a firearm in public. Number 2. Burglar stopped to pet dog. On the night of July the 15th of 2023, an unnamed suspect entered the garage of a home in San Diego's Pacific Beach neighborhood. As captured by surveillance cameras, he was on the verge of riding away with a 2019 black Electra 3 speed bicycle valued at $1,300 when he was approached by the owner's friendly golden retriever. The burglar pushed the bike back into the garage and stopped to pet the dog. The thief said, "You're the coolest dog I've ever known. I love you too. You're a sweetheart." The man gave the pet belly rubs and asked, "Where's your dad?" before shouting, "Dad!" He then laughed enthusiastically as the dog licked his face, exclaiming, "I love you too." The thief, who appeared to be intoxicated, then calmly carried on with stealing the pricey bike, and the dog watched him do it while wagging its tail. The story went viral, but it remained unclear if the thief was caught. Number 1. Viorel Firoiu. In 2009, Romanian man Viorel Firoiu ended up in an emergency room of the country's Alt region in a serious but also quite peculiar condition. The 48-year-old had 2 hammerheads stuck in his rectum. The story as he presented it to medical staff involved him becoming severely constipated after eating a bunch of cherries. He had a few drinks to numb the pain and then inserted a hammerhead in his backside, believing it would solve his blockage. However, the metal tool got stuck inside his body from his hospital bed. Firoiu covered his face with a towel as he related what followed to reporters from a national media outlet. The man had the idea of using a second hammerhead to remove the first, but it became lodged inside his rectum as well. Firoiu spent roughly 2 days with the hammers in his backside before his condition deteriorated, and he was forced to seek urgent medical attention due to excruciating abdominal pain. The hammers were surgically extracted, but Firoiu was still in bad shape because he had waited too long before going to the hospital. He was believed to have survived, but no updates were provided on his condition. Thanks for watching. I think that was a good selection. Let us know which cases you'd like to see in a part 2 in the comment section below.